We're looking. Ready to go?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome, everybody. This is the UMortgage Homeownership Discovery class. Excited to have everybody on. So we are going to jump right into it. My name is Chad Curtin with UMortgage. I am joined with the very distinguished Vincent DeRisi of UMortgage. Vinny, maybe give a little background.
Yeah, Chad and I have been teaming up here for 10 years, battling this Cincinnati market and winning every single day. And always love doing this, we kind of even come up with new ideas and just obviously bouncing off the market together. And this is always fun. And we're excited to have a lot of viewers here today and talk about how to get to that next step of either home ownership or next step of investmentship. So we're excited.
That's right. So you mentioned the viewers. We have a great group here today. We have a group that is watching on our simulcast, and then we also have a live version of this over on LinkedIn as well. So we have, as far as people that we've invited and that are on the call, we have our real estate agent partners. We have pre-approved buyers that are in the market that are out there looking to purchase today. And we have some of our investors that are, that we work with on a regular basis. So really excited. We've got some fresh, new information that we're going to cover. But as a whole, we're going to try to bring value to everybody that's here on the call. We're going to have everybody in and out in 30 to 40 minutes tops. At the end of the call, we're going to ask you kind of what you felt like the class was. We're going to ask you to fill out a very quick, 3-question survey, and then that will complete your eligibility for the $300 credit that you'll receive when you get to the closing table for your home purchase. So again, we're hoping to bring value to everybody. And everybody's kind of coming from different worlds here. So we're going to go ahead and jump on into this. Oh, that's us. If you haven't seen us on Fox, actually go ahead and tune in December. We'll be back on. All right. So making the headlines. Speaking of Fox.
Chad's first time in charge of the slides, by the way, just side note.
Yeah. Yes. Well, I've had 2 weeks off of this. I haven't done this in 2 weeks. I'm all out of practice here. So, all right. So the headlines, as you can see, Cincinnati has been in the local headlines and the national headlines a lot in the last, let's say, quarter, and specifically on the real estate market. You can see a couple of different articles here. What have you been seeing with some of this local press that we've been getting?
In a combination of Cincinnati hitting the market, it's been getting relatively hotter in the actual housing market, right? So what do I mean by that? Like Cincinnati is trying to keep up with what's going on with the news articles, and buyers are trying to keep up with, okay, I have a game plan yesterday, now my game plan is different today. And we have a buyer that's on here actually today. He put an offer in and had to change his game plan on the offer once the offer was actually in there, right? To like even give an extra incentive on that offer. So it's funny, we were preparing for this on Tuesday and it changed yesterday, right? We had to do some updates because of the market. So in a combination of all the news that's happening in Cincinnati, it's heating up the housing market here in Cincinnati twofold.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. That's the exact reason why we went from doing this class on a monthly basis a year ago. We didn't do the class at all 2 years ago, did it on a monthly basis, and now we have kind of changed that to adapt to the ever-changing environment. Now we're doing this class once a week, and we're changing the information on this on a weekly basis as well. So you bring up some really good points. And I've been in in this market as a loan officer, as a sales manager, branch manager, on some capacity in the mortgage industry for 22 straight consecutive years. I've never seen highlights like this, news articles like this, specifically for our market. And it is very interesting. I've always said this about Cincinnati. If you look at if you want to see what's coming to Cincinnati, you look at the coastlines, right? From, anywhere from New York to the Carolinas to Florida to the West Coast of, California and all those. And you look at the different things that are happening there. It could be fashion, it could be technology, or it could be housing. And that's going to give you a really good projection of what's going to happen in our market. Think of it like a wave, all right? Big tidal wave in California. And by the time that it hits us, it's still a wave and it's still powerful, but it's less, right? But at the same extent, there aren't as many highs and there's not as many lows. So we're getting a more consistent, market, and where they've seen in the last 18 months, they've seen super highs, super lows, back up to highs, and now they're starting to see, because their market is a little bit more interest rate driven, they're starting to see it heat up again, just because in the last week the rates have moved. You want to talk on this?
Well, I want to talk a little bit about on this, but in combination of, we talk about this a lot with, I just got off the phone with somebody with their daughters going to Miami University over here, right? We have so many great other things going around Cincinnati that's also bringing people to Cincinnati, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But when we could talk about it, right? The Bengals are playing well, right? So it's bringing.
We'll see tonight at 8:15.
It's bringing people here. FC Cincinnati. It's bringing investors wanting to get Airbnbs around the stadium, right? I have another one who's like I just mentioned, going to Miami, so they want to buy a second home, and they actually want to buy another house for their daughter to stay in around the university. So it's crazy how small little articles like that, and the shiftness of affordability is still at not all-time high here, but higher than the other places of the coast. And it's drawing people in. It's still phenomenal.
Yeah, when I went to University of Cincinnati, there was one major investor that owned probably half of Clifton housing, like no joke, half of Clifton. He's still around. And if you went to UC during that time, you know exactly who I'm talking about, because you probably rented from him. And now, same thing. I had a dad want to purchase a property for son going to UC. That I think when you see the potential for earnings the way that they are, return on investment and everything else, and you see these numbers that we're showing here on the screen, these are the key indicators that we look at to figure out, all right, what direction is this market going to go in? So, as a whole, we can talk about, and we will, some of the projections nationwide that a lot of our experts are talking about. But what we try to zone in on, and when we say Cincinnati, we're really talking about, tri-state. We're talking about, northern Kentucky up to, Mason, Middletown, even Springboro, all the way out to Indiana, and then obviously going way deep into like the Batavia area. That's when we say Cincinnati, that's what we're really talking about. But look at this, look at some of these stats that we have here. 3 offers on average right now. That means if you go to list your house on the MLS and you put it on the open market, on average it's going to get 3 offers. So if it's some of the lower houses or not as desirable houses, maybe it's overpriced or something like that, it's going to get 1 offer. But some of the ones that are priced correctly, they're going to get 5, 6, 7 offers today. What is it, November 16th? November 16th, we're getting, these are the averages of what houses offers are getting. And you see what effect that has on the median home price, and then average days on market being 10 days on market. Now we have seen that tick up. This summer it was,
I think it was low at the highest, I think in the summertime was 7, the highest. So 10 is still, I think, unbelievable. 10, we're seeing, a little bit more. Sometimes I think we're seeing some sellers that are trying to, get a little bit greedy on that. And that's why I think we're seeing some prices go up a little bit. But still, 10 days average on market in this type of atmosphere, whether you want to compare it with the market or even with the weather, it's still pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you're right. And we are seeing where some of the sellers are like, well, I'll just throw it on there and we'll see what happens, right? And, that's where you really have to lean on the real estate,
100%.
realtor and the expert there to say, because sometimes listing it for lower is going to actually get you the best price on that house, versus listing it too high, then you just become unreasonable.
Well, and more importantly, like that's the reason for this class, right? As you can see, this could be very emotional and nerve-wracking, right? Seeing stuff like this, that's why it's important to be prepared. Right? To be ready, so you know your numbers, so that when you are making some crazy offer, right, on a house that's going to have 3 other offers compared to.
Yeah.
Am I prepared, and do I have my numbers?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the next thing we're going to talk about, another article that was just recently posted in, specifically about Cincinnati, and that has to do with rent. Okay, so now we're going to kind of really drill into some of those key indicators that we look at that are going to drive the price up or down. Cincinnati rent is just absolutely exploding. Actually, Zillow wrote, a report on Cincinnati being one of the hottest rent markets that there are. And a lot of those different factors you just talked about, FC, Bengals, Reds, even all the schooling, all the pockets of different schools that we have here. And, there's really good, economy here. And the one thing we didn't talk about is affordability. Affordability for the, Cincinnati compared to some of our competition, Chicago, New York, Charlotte, all of those different that are within a few hours drive, our affordability, along with the desirability is some of the best bang for the buck that people are getting, and investors are seeing that, and just homeowners are seeing it.
And another reason why an investor, it's still a good reason to buy, right? Even if they feel like they think they're buying at the peak of the market, or they think they're buying they're not going to buy because of high rates. Well, as you can see, they're compensating with raising rates, right? If you feel like you're investing and buying at a okay time, you can make it up in one way or another.
That's right. So for the folks that are on the call right now, that are either renters themselves or they know someone that's a renter, this is, if you're going to get one thing from this call today, from this class, make sure that you zone in on this. Okay. This statistic, this graph is just mind blowing to me. This is what the median asking rent graph is since 1988. I mean, you see it only goes in one direction. So that's the rent, and look at the increase that we've seen over the last 10 years. That is a steady increase. Very, very, really dipping in and really pushing back on that affordability to be able to rent. This is why you see statistics like lifelong renter versus someone that has owned a house. The wealth gain for a homeowner versus a renter is 44 times more. 44 times more to be a homeowner versus a renter. Okay, those are stats that are pulled nationwide for the United States of America. That is insanity. What that difference is, and that's why it's called the American dream. So the alternative to purchasing is renting, and this is what you're up against. We actually talked about this quite a bit. We put together a slide deck for a presentation that we did, and what are the the differences of someone that is renting versus buying. What are those those emotional states of hey, you've got community where you buy, whereas if you're renting, it is you're month to month literally, or if you think that you have a false sense of the stability, but the seller can always sell that property. We talked to someone just yesterday who didn't want to buy, but his landlord sold, and he had to move, and put him in a tough position. So stability, as far as like knowing what your payment is, even on a fixed rate, even if the rate is at 8.5%, what that rate is. You can budget for it. You have a built-in savings where you're every month you make a payment, you're paying down the mortgage, and your asset, your house, is going up in value. So that's a built-in savings plan. Where at the same time, you're built into the community. The churches, the school, the parks, everything else. You're built into that community, and you're vested in that. Where renting loses that. So there is a economical reason And there's also, social reason why, the home ownership versus renting path is so strong. And these are indicating factors of why you continue to see people purchasing at a higher and higher clip, even if rates are going up, or there's certain struggles with the market and with inventory.
It's all about the education of it, right? Going into knowing your numbers and realizing I'm buying at my highest monthly payment ever.
Yeah.
And I know, because of who I'm talking with, right, that in the next few months or even 2 years from now, my payment's only going to get better, and my pocketbook is only going to get better, right? So in what other investment can you start paying less and your investments get better, right?
Right.
There's no other.
Yeah. So really, like, this is a stat. Yeah, I remember the day that you and I pulled this, and it actually saw this and our jaws dropped. Here's the 40 times more. So here's the actual quote. When deciding to rent or buy, one must calculate the total cost of home ownership and the total financial benefit. Based on the new Fed data, the median net worth of homeowners was $396,000 compared to $10,000. That is the net worth. Those are crazy stats. All right, so these are the projections of what home values are going to do over the next 5 years. Okay, these are hot off the presses, just seen. And here's the thing: we went through a phase of last 3 years where with COVID we saw big jumps, 18% increases, so on and so forth. And big question I know that you've been asked, and I hear it at least once a day, is, did I miss the boat? Right? Is now not a good time to purchase? And did I miss out on these great increases? Real estate's a long game, okay? And if you look at the long-term appreciation of real estate, it is the undefeated world champion of investments, okay? So you can basically put down a 3 to 5% increase in your home value per year, and walk away from it and come back and know that it's going to happen. Now, you may see years where it's 18%, and we're still projected. So everyone said in 2023 home values were going to come down. They went up. Okay, 24. They're before we get to 2024, they're like, oh, they're going to go down. In 2024, we just we miscalculated. Nope, they're projected to go up again. So there is so many different factors that are going into this that are driving the prices up. A lot of them we talked about, a lot of them we haven't, where we have outside big firm investors that are coming in and buying property. We've seen this in other countries where, again, it makes it harder for the you and I's to purchase. But if you're in the boat, you're going to see great increases in values.
Yeah, and when you ask is now a good time to buy, right? It's always individually. Is it the right time for you?
Sure.
Right. Obviously, that is the number one, right? Numbers aside, market aside, right? You always got to look in the mirror and say, hey, is this the best move for my family? Right. Sure. Always number one, right? And then number two, if you can afford this payment, like I mentioned before, this is going to be the highest payment of your house that's probably ever going to be. So if you can afford it now, you're going to be able to afford it year after year for sure.
Yeah, budgeting now for the long term is going to be pretty significant. So for everybody on the call, grab a pen and paper. I'm going to show you a really cool stat here using this graph that we have right now. So we're going to calculate return on investment. Okay, so very easy. If you purchase this year at 400,000. Okay, and let's say that you put a relatively minimum, most people's minimum, 5% down on 400,000. Okay, how much is that? It's $20,000, right? And add some closing costs in there, say 25,000. Okay, and then you see an increase of 71,000 over the next 5 years of that investment. Okay, so you've got 25,000 in, and you're going to see your investment increase in value of 71,000 over 5 years. Okay, so it's a return on investment. So you take the 25 divided by 71, and you come up with a return on investment of over 200%. Okay, so that is an incredible return on what you've got into that investment. Now, what is happening with rates, and this is literally, this just came out today. So we actually scrambled this morning, Holiday and the team, made some changes to the slide, did a great job on this to get it the most accurate information. So this is what we're seeing as far as the projection on interest rates for the for the foreseeable future. CPI numbers came out late last week. They were finally hitting those low points. This is kind of the mark that a lot of folks were looking for. So we think that we've probably peaked out, right? And we'll see lowering of interest rates, probably second quarter of 2024. Now, here's the $1 million question, okay? Because rates are going to be rates, right? What happens to the market? What happens with what we're seeing right now? We just showed statistics. 10 days on the market, three offers. In the winter months, which are supposed to be slow in Cincinnati, super hot market right now with 8% rates, 7.5, 7.75 rates. What happens when rates come down 6 months from now? Because everybody on the call is probably thinking, hey, let's just wait. Let's wait 6 months. What happens if they wait?
So are those other 1,000 people. They're going to say, you know what, I'm going to jump in the summertime. So it's going to be an all-out war if people wait and wait and wait. I did some math the other day in regards to an average of 5% of gaining. So if you waited now in comparison to buying in the summertime, you're going to be in the red at a $250,000 clip if you're buying a house at $250,000. And if you want to wait for that interest rate to go to 6% in comparison to where we are right now,
sure,
you're going to be in the red 10 grand, at least 10 grand. My math was over 12. So in talks about gaining appreciation.
Go a little deeper on that. So explain that, maybe I missed it. So you're saying the cost of waiting. For folks from comparing to today interest rate,
correct,
today value compared to, is it 6 months or 12 months that you looked at?
I just looked at the summer. I think.
Till the summer. Okay.
Say May.
Okay.
Let's say May. You want to wait till May.
All right.
And that cute little ranch that's maybe going right now for 225 is more likely going to be 250. But if you buy it now at 225, start making your payments, you're getting appreciation each month, right?
Sure.
You're going to be in the red at least 12 grand if you go to buy next summer.
So this is the importance of understanding and why we're doing this on a weekly basis, because this information does change so rapidly. We just had there's other things that you can do if you are very payment sensitive right now. We don't want to be insensitive to folks to say, hey, if you've been shopping for over a year, you've seen increases on the same property go up and up and up. You understand that. We do have tools. We have one that just came out. Typically, we don't talk about like products and programs on this, but I think it's worth mentioning our new program that will do a temporary buy down of 1 year. Okay, so what that means is I'm going to use really simple math here. Okay, and this is going to be accurate. Okay, but it's just we're going to round some numbers. So if Vinny is the buyer, okay, and he qualifies for the going rate today, let's just say is 7.5. Again, it's going to vary by a quarter to a half a point for everybody on the call, but let's just say you qualify for 7.5 today. You close on your house today, okay? We can give you a 30-year fixed at 7.5, okay? But we're going to give you what's called a temporary buy down, and it's going to be a 1 year temporary buy down, okay? So what that means is instead of you paying for the first 12 payments, you paying an interest rate that is equivalent to the 7.5 that you're actually getting on a 30-year fixed, your payment is going to be 6.5 because you have executed the temporary buy down. Now, what that means and why it's different than a normal buy down is what you're doing is you're prepaying that first year of interest in the form of an upfront closing cost that the seller can pay or you, the buyer, can pay. We have two different options on that. Now, here's where it gets really super interesting. Up until March, okay, we're running a promotion where if you do execute that 1 year temporary buy down, we're going to give you a free appraisal on the property. Okay, so that's a $600 value for the free appraisal. Now, for we just ran numbers on a $200,000 property with a 1-year buy down. It cost about $2,000 for that buy down. It's about a point. That's what it's coming out to, right? About a point. And if you have that $2,000 for that temporary buy down, but you get a $600 credit because you're not paying for an appraisal, you basically get that for about what, almost half off, right? So that's a really good value to be able to do this. And here's the deal. Let's say rates drop down to 4% this summer, and you want to take advantage of refinancing at that point, you get reimbursement for whatever you didn't make as far as those monthly payments for the full 12. Okay, so tons of detail that go into that. If you don't understand that, or I didn't do a very good job of explaining it, make sure you jump on with your loan officer. I don't want to go into too much specifics on individual programs like that, but I think that one alone is worth really talking about on here.
It's been big for listing agents right now, right? We saw an uptick of days on market, right? So agents were getting a little worried. Oh my gosh, we're listed on the market now for over 5 days. Can you get
oh my God, it's been on 5 days.
Can you get creative for us to try to market this a little better?
Right.
So this 2-1 buy down, the 1-year buy down have been super popular, specifically with realtors trying to market their property. Like for example, to get a little bit more detail, the 209 purchase, a savings for that first year is $140 a month. At that purchase price, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that could get someone, hey, you know what? Maybe that does make sense for us and our family. We'll go make that jump and go buy this house.
Do you have it on there, what the cost for that temporary buy down was to save $140?
Yes, this one was 1,900. Well, I mean, just times the 140 times 12. It was 1,680.
Oh, so it's way less than the full point I just quoted. Okay, so 1,680, and then if you do that on that property, you get a $600 credit for your appraisal.
Correct.
So it actually only ends up costing you about $1,000 to save $140 per month on that first year. So that's a really incredible thing. And remember, guys, like we all know what's happening with interest rates. We know the direction that they're going to go. They're not going to go higher long term. The long-term play with interest rates is going to be lower. So what we're trying to, really look at is, okay, for you to be able to purchase this house, you have to be able to afford the higher payment. Okay, so this isn't like a teaser rate to get you into the house and you'll be in a bad spot. You have to qualify on that higher payment. However, just for affordability on that first year, just to make it look, and feel a little bit better for that first year, this is an offer that we can look at. We can look at it for 2 years as well. But it's just and we'll get into this, I guess now. With the process of purchasing a house, especially right now, the upfront step of working with the UMortgage loan officer and working with us so that we can set a good pre-approval consultation with you and set a good plan for you is so important, because there's products that are changing daily, just like we just talked about, and the game plan is changing daily. I talked to a client last week where we met, and they've got mom's house, their house, they're purchasing a new house. There's, these houses are going to sell after the fact. I talked to a mom who just closed yesterday, okay, where she wanted to purchase a house for one of their kids because a house became available in their neighborhood. Their family has lived in this house for over 50 years across the street from the house that just became available. So she accessed equity in her property to be able to purchase the house across the street. She didn't have a plan besides the fact of just wanting to purchase this house. That was her plan. So we have to sit down, we go through all these different options and show her, hey, this is what's available to you, and this is the most affordable way of doing it. So first step, talk with trusted mortgage loan originator here. What we're going to do is we're going to walk through the process of getting pre-approved, and then we're going to show you options, and then you start shopping with your real estate agent. Okay, so let's dive into this. Okay, so to get pre-approved, What are the things that you're looking at when you talk with a client for the first time?
Credit, income, assets, right? We're really digging into each one of these categories super deep. And we'll go into the credit one real quick first. So credit has been, I think this year, specifically for me in my profession, I don't know for you with how long you've been doing this, but
Decades. I think that's where you're looking
it's been really nitty gritty with credit,
Mhm.
right? Everyone has the credit karmas, everyone has the experience of the world. So that's why I feel like is the reason I go a little bit deeper into the credit than I normally would 3 years ago or 4 years ago, right?
Because just like going back to your point earlier, not to interrupt you, but
Yep.
more information is available to
Exactly.
the consumer. Just like seeing what values are happening and what appreciations are happening, credit is available to more people. And that's, I actually personally like when clients have consumer credit or something where they're monitoring it. But the problem comes with what?
When there's discrepancies, right?
Yes.
Mine says it's 872 and we're really a 720, right? You know, so we go over the whys and hows. More importantly, we make sure of accuracies on the credit report.
Yeah.
And we even go into deeper dives of, okay, you are a 718. How do we get you to a 740, right? How do we take that extra step to get you better pricing, a better rate, or maybe get you that better program from maybe FHA to a conventional loan, okay?
Yeah.
So we go really deep into that. And as you can see, a lot of things make up a credit score, right? It's not just paying stuff on time. That utilization, where as you can see on amounts owed, is a big factor in where your score is.
Yeah. And, you know, we have tools to be able to say, you know, Mr. Borrower, Mrs. Borrower, you know, these are the exact things that you can do to take your credit score from a 580 to a 650, you know, take you from maybe not being able to buy today to being able to buy in 30 days from now. So we have actual software that allows for that, but we also have just looking at things and knowing and understanding utilization, you know, removing things, adding, you know, accounts are going to help. So credit, first of the three pillars. Second being income or employment. What are you looking at? What's the number one thing that you're looking at and you're talking to a buyer about when you're looking at their income?
Well, the first thing is I'm looking at the timeline, making sure the timeline's accurate, right? We want to make sure that we have 2 years, whether it's consecutive or we have a 2-year history all together, right? So that's most important, making sure we have the accurate information in there, okay? If there's any gaps, we go over gaps, we go the whys, the reasons of those. And then once we figure out that we have that timeline in place, we're going over, okay, how are you paid? Why are you paid this way? And how can we calculate it to its max capability? Because like we said, right, housing prices are getting a little bit higher. We want to make sure we're maximizing our buyers' buying power, okay? So we're digging into the current pay stub. If we have to calculate overtime bonus, we're getting the 2 years prior pay stubs to dig into that income. So we're really doing a deep dive to make sure we're not missing literally any penny to maximize that buyer and make sure we're doing it accurately, right? We don't want to give a number at pre-approval day. And when it gets to underwriting, and you could go deeper into this, when it goes into underwriting, they tell us it's a different number. Because as we know, when you tell me, right, is income black or white?
It is. There's a lot of gray in income. And you kind of breezed over a really important word. What does it mean when you say a gap in income?
Great.
And why is that so important?
So it's important because the key is the 2 years, right? Whether it's 2 years from 2020 to 2023, we could still do a loan, or is it even 2 years from 2019 to 2023, right? So if there's a gap in some loan programs, it's okay that there's a gap. We just need that reason why. So the key is the whys and the how longs, but the key is that it's caught and it's reviewed, because like we said about the gray areas with income, because sometimes if someone's hourly, they may take some income down because of the history of someone not working a streamline of 6 months consecutively or a year consecutively.
So what that means to you, consumer, let's say that you're an hourly employee, but you also get overtime or you get bonuses or you get commissions. And that's real money to you, and that's real money that you count on and that you can kind of budget with. For underwriting purposes, even if you're in the same line of work, if there's a gap, there's some of the programs we wouldn't be able to use that over time. We wouldn't be able to calculate it, and we do a really good job of maximizing people's income. And speaking of new hitting information, Fannie Mae just came out today and said first-time home buyers, highest qualifying income on average right now, Fannie Mae, highest qualifying income for first-time home buyers in the history of home buying. Okay, so what that means is you have to be able to afford the homes as they are going up. We have to see more income. So we are really maximizing those incomes. Now, the third pillar on being pre-approved, remember, these are the things that we're looking at for everybody, whether you're a first-time home buyer or this is your 10th home, you're buying an investment property. We're looking at three things. We just covered credit, income, and then the last one's going to be assets, or to you, the consumer, cash to close, which means how much are you bringing to the closing table when it's time to buy. What are we looking at as far as different ways to come up with, because as home prices go up and we want to be more competitive with our offers, we want to increase how much we're putting down. Where are some of the more non-traditional ways that you're seeing borrowers get these funds?
Seen an uptick in gifts. A lot of gift funds for first-time home buyers, right? We're having a lot of those first-time home buyers that are, hey, I'm kicking the curb rent. I'm not doing that rent anymore.
Sure.
I'm doing what needs to be done to go buy a house, whether I'm getting a gift from my uncle, my mom, my dad, whatever the case may be. So we're making sure we're presenting that to these type of buyers that have the great credit, have the great jobs coming out of these universities here, and preparing them for, hey, you could get a gift from here. We're also seeing a big jump from investments because of the education you're getting an investment, right? Investment to investment. We're doing a lot of those.
Yeah.
We're also seeing some home equity line of credit options, right, of their existing properties.
Yeah, it's great.
If those numbers make sense and the debt to income ratios are in line with the bridge loan options, then that's a big thing that we're utilizing specifically with those step up buyers.
Yeah.
Okay. And then obviously we have the traditional, the checking and savings, right? The clients, the Gen Zers of the world right now that have saved up for this for their whole entire lives, right? And this is what they're trying to do. And then obviously your traditional departing residents, right? It ends up being a slam dunk from sale to buy existing.
Right. So to wrap up the last piece of the pre-approval process, after we review the credit, the income, we're looking at the cash to close, we're looking at the assets that are being used. And for you, we are showing you what the combination of down payment, closing cost, prepaids, all of those numbers, that comes up to one number. You don't pay those in separate installments, right? It's your cash to close number. So when a client says, hey, I want to put 5% down, right? It doesn't mean that's what you're bringing. You're bringing a combination of, and there's credits involved as well. You get a tax proration. Sometimes you're getting a seller credit. There's lots of different credits that are coming back as well. So 5% doesn't really mean 5%. So what we really try to make sure that we're doing a really good job of when we're meeting with you on that pre-approval consultation is figuring out part of your buying power is how much do you have to put down, and is it in the right type of account? Is it sourced and seasoned so we can make sure that we use it for underwriting purposes? Go ahead.
And one last thing on this, and she was actually on here today. We dug super deep into her income. We took the extra step on her income, but not only that, she was with another place that said, hey, the only way for you to qualify is to put 20% down. That's the only way to get your debt to income ratio done. Well, she had a car loan for 16 grand. That was $700 a month, let's say. Okay. Well, as you know, being in this for decades, putting 16 grand down on a $225,000 house is not going to save her $700 a month.
No.
So what did we do? We figured out to calculate the cash to close. And saved her, no joke, probably 15 grand out of pocket, and obviously saved her obligation wise, her full monthly obligation wise, not just looking at the housing payment, but looking at her whole entire scenario, right? Digging deeper into that credit report, into where her assets can be allocated towards, right? To better herself. And from doing a, basic 20% down loan to a 5% down loan and paying off a car.
That's what the fix
And
was.
her total obligations are going to be less than putting 20% down on the house.
Love it. Love it. Well, I don't know if you want to mention the 525 credit that you got approved.
Well, and that's the thing, we go deep into these pre-approvals, right? We're treating every referral as they're going to be a buyer, right? No matter what of the score, no matter what of the funds that they have, because those questions that we ask every client, like you just said, whether they're a first-time home buyer or a fifth-time home buyer, we ask those questions because that 526 buyer has a family member that's willing to co-sign and put $150,000 down on the house.
Right.
FHA does not have a credit score minimum.
Right. Or
minimum credit score to qualify. So me being in this for only 10 years, you being in this for 50 years, I knew that guideline and we ran with it. We kept it going.
Right. And you'll see some banks actually promote, hey, we have credit scores down to a 600 credit score. We actually do not have a credit score floor for these exact reasons. I can actually remember, you probably do as well. 5 years ago was the last time that we did a credit score below a 560, and it was the same scenario. We had you remember this one? We had a co-borrower that had a good 700 credit score, and they didn't have to put 150 down. They only put 15% down, right? But we were able to get it done. So the bottom line is this: can we get every single 525 credit score done today? No. We will put a blueprint together that we will show them exactly what they need to do to be able to purchase a house, right? We will show them what exactly to do, and we will treat them like gold because they are gold to all of us. And if they have a scenario where they can qualify today with moving some stuff around, we're going to show them that. So part of that is having all of these different products. Okay, you like that segue? Having all these different types of products, having all these different things, and this is literally, we could do probably 6 pages of this. We just brought on some really amazing new products as well. And so the bottom line is this: if there is someone that wants to purchase, if there's someone that wants to invest in a property, if there's someone that wants to get into a unique property, we have the products, right? You may have to put down 20% versus 5%, but you'll be able to purchase that unique property. You may have, oh my gosh, the P&L loans, my goodness. So we have the vanilla loans, which is, 80% of what we do, conventional, FHA, VA. We are so good at VA. The #1 VA loan officer in the entire nation out of Arizona just came on and just onboarded last week with UMortgage because of our products that we provide. He left his bank of several years to come work for UMortgage, the #1 VA loan officer in the entire nation. I'm so proud of that. Obviously, we just had Veterans Day last week, and my dad's a veteran, and we have so many great aspects of what we do with that community. So proud of that fact that I wanted to bring that up. So we do VA loans, we do all different types of products. Whatever your need is, we're going to find that need. Okay, and just for time, we're going to jump a little bit here. Okay, so we've talked about the market. Okay, so let's take a little quick pause here. Okay, so we've talked.
So you hurrying up?
I am. We talked about rent. Okay, and the fact that rents are increasing, it's going up with inflation. We've talked about the direction interest rates are probably going to happen in 2024. We've talked about how hot the market is right now. 10 days on the market, multiple offers, all these different factors, and it's still going up and up. And this is at the peak of interest rates. Okay, we talked about the direction that interest rates are going to go and what that effect is going to have with having more people come on the market. Okay, so we need to be prepared to win the offer, and that is actually the title of this class, is winning the offer. Okay, the first step is being able to make an offer. That's the pre-approval process, knowing what options that you have, right? knowing how much you're going to be able to put down, how much you're going to be able to afford. That's part of the process. That has to be all done up front. So once you've done that, and we have the product options for you, and you find the house, now it's go time, right? 9 out of 10 of our loans were actually pre-underwriting. Okay, so we're able to offer fast close. Okay, I believe you just wrote a 10-day contract the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just did a VA loan. I just did it on my stories, 5 days.
5 days.
VA. You
have to actually wait for compliance to close it, right?
5 days.
You had it done before compliantly you're allowed to close it. Okay, so VA, VA, you have to get an appraisal for a VA. I mean, that's incredible. Okay, so closing quick in this market is the #1 way to get your offer. What you, the buyer, want to try to visualize is the seller that you're buying your house from, them sitting at their kitchen table, and they have all the offers spread out, and they're looking at all of them, and they're saying, okay, they're looking at how much you offered as far as what the price is. They're looking at the time they closed. They're looking at who you're working with as far as loan officers, and that's why it's important to work with a local lender that has a good name like us. They're looking at time frame. They're looking at the terms. They're looking at all those different things. So price is only one of those things that they're looking at, and that's why we need to make sure that we're really talking through all the different options that we can offer that are non-monetary. Okay, so when you go to make that offer, you win the offer. Go ahead.
You hit it on. Steal yours.
Mm-hmm.
Hit the nail on the head. The non-monetary stuff.
Yeah.
What's approaching right now?
Christmas, holidays. Yes.
Holidays, right? These sellers want one more last day for the holidays in their house, right?
Yeah.
So the quick close, the late occupancy is winning the deals in these months right now. It is. That's literally we just won it with this last client, with my buddy who's on this call right now. Like, it's the non-monetary stuff that's winning, right?
Yeah.
It's the knowledge that you as a buyer can do that, right? Instead of just pushing a close date out of 60 days. Who knows what can happen within that 60 days, right? Seal the deal, get the house, and offer something that the seller can get, but not from all other buyers.
Right. So, and again, we're up against the clock here a little bit, but making the offer, winning the offer, the best way, I'll leave everyone with this, the best way for your offer to get accepted for your dream home is to have as good of a relationship with the buyer, the loan officer, and the real estate agent, having that triangle of trust right there where everyone's on the same page and everybody's working on the same wavelength. That's how we're winning offers at a higher clip right now than our competition. So once you go into contract, there's a couple of steps still that you have to do with the underwriting process. There's going to be some e-signatures. There's going to be the process of actually going through the secondary level of underwriting. You get to clear to close, and then you get to the closing, and then everybody's happy. The idea here is that we are working with our clients, and we're creating clients for life. That's why we go through this process. That's why we try to bring these extra values that we are. And a lot of what we do, we show on our social media. If you aren't following us, please give us a like and follow. And if you have questions, it's always a good way to get that information or to reach out to us. All of our information is right there. And then very quickly, we have taken the time to compile some of the questions that we've seen over the last couple of months. And maybe let's roll through a few of these. Do I need inspections? Who schedules it? So, you, the buyer, it's your choice to get an inspection. You schedule it. We schedule the appraisal. What is a contingency? Contingency is anything that has to happen for you, the buyer, to be able to sell. So the #1 contingency that's holding back offers from being accepted is that you need to sell your house first before you buy. Okay. Jumping ahead here, what all is included in closing costs? We kind of covered all of that, I feel like, but it's your lender fees, your title fees, your down payment, your prepaids, and then minus any credits that you're getting. First payment is usually you go to the end of the month that you close in. So if you close on today, you would go to the end of November and then add 30 days. So that would make your first payment January 1st, right? So again, go to the end of the month plus 30 days. How soon can I refinance if interest rates drop? We require one to make 6 payments. And that is not a prepayment penalty or anything like that. But that's just a typical industry standard as far as what's required. A better question would be, are you going to let me know when it's time to refinance? And we do. We have great softwares that we use for our buyers, and we communicate with them on a regular basis after they close and make sure that we are, once they're ready to take some savings, we're going to jump on that. We have our system in place because, when 2020 hit, 2020 and 2021, we took care of all those buyers from 2016, 17, 18, and 19 that purchased, and we were able to save them money on their properties. Okay. All right. So that concludes the class. Here is the QR code to be able to jump on that survey that I mentioned at the beginning of the class. Name, contact information, so we make sure that we have the correct person on here. And then we're going to ask you to also list someone that you would like for us to talk to about the home purchasing process, whether they're somebody that that's renting and you want them to see some of that 44% increase in home value or in net worth, or maybe there's someone that is thinking about buying, selling, or refinancing in the next 2 years. Please put their information on the survey, and then that would qualify you for the $300 savings at closing. There's also a link in the chat. Any closing comments?
No, I love it. This was great. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, really appreciate everybody being on the call. Thank you to Vincent Teresi, amazing #1 loan officer in the area. I really appreciate you being on, bring some great knowledge. And thank you everybody for being on the call. We will talk to you all real soon. We'll see you next week.